There are so many HP burn champions in Raid Shadow Legends. Let's do a top 10 list. What's up, guys? Finally, he sleeps here. This is a new video in the top 10 series for Raid Shadow Legends. Today, it's going to be all about HP burn champions. These are sought after champions within the game, especially any with an AoE HP burn. Comes into play in multiple dungeons, but most notably in Spider's Den, where it's almost a necessity working your way through those dungeons, specifically Spider 20 for dungeon divers, for any of the spider turn attack tournaments or anything like that, and as well as being able to make a very quick, very speedy team to knock out the spider to use for your daily quests and whatnot. That's what we're going to take a look at here today. Top 10 list. First, though, make sure you subscribe here so you never miss when any of these raid videos go live, and check out my other channels as well, including Twitch and my other YouTube stuff for car culture over at Gearheads and FC Mobile stuff on my main channel. All right, so HP burn champions, top 10 list. You may not agree with my list. You may have a few on there that you think are better. If so, let me know in the comments. And hell, just place your own top 10 list below. Anybody that's reading it in the comments, it may help them out, or they may see a champion that they have in their vault that they've never really built. All right, let's get into it. Up first, number 10. Coming in first on the list is Tyrant Exmore, with his name that is just impossible to pronounce correctly. Big ugly dude from Demon Spawn. Now, Demon Spawn is where a lot of the HP burn champions kind of originate. It's all the fire in the background. It makes a lot of sense. But just a little spoiler here, some foreshadowing. Not a lot of Demon Spawn HP burn champs on this list. And this one is at the bottom. A1, 50% increased damage on targets that are under HP burn, but no HP burn there. A2 is where his AoE HP burn debuff on all enemies comes into play. It is a 75% chance. Fully booked takes it to 100%. So that is a massive positive. A3, ally protect and increase defense on all allies for 2 turns. So that's going to help. His passive decreases damage inflicted by enemies under HP burn by 10%. Which is another good thing. And then he just has an HP ally percentage, 25% in all battles as his aura. This is a little bit of a conundrum champion, though. He is an HP-based champion, but everything is based on defense. All of his damage is based on defense. So when you go to build him, pay attention. He's at the bottom of the list. He does have a lot of utility within the game. Unfortunately, he's a legendary. I mean, it's not unfortunately. It's great on one aspect. It's a little bit difficult compared to, let's say, an epic to throw on books on everybody, on all of it, to max him out to get that 100% chance on those HP burns at the AoE A2. But other than that, he's actually a really strong champion and has a lot of utility where you're going to need HP burn. Number 9 on the list is Searsha the Charred from Sylvan Watchers. Now, all of these Sylvan Watchers champions, they're all kind of like tree fairies and stuff. So having one on fire isn't necessarily the most exciting thing. It's kind of detrimental if you stop and think about it. I don't really. It's a burning bush. A1 attacks one enemy 3 times. Has 30% chance of increasing the duration of HP burn debuffs on the target by 1 turn, which is going to help. A2 is an AoE HP burn, 80% chance, but again, fully booked, takes it to 100%. A3 attacks all enemy, decreases the turn meter of all enemies by 15%, decreases the turn meter of enemies under HP burn by an extra 15%, and that's a 6 turn, but fully booked brings it down to a 4 turn cooldown. Passive, whenever this champion is attacked by an enemy under an HP burn debuff, heals this champion by 25% of the damage received. Also has a 15% chance to instantly activate any HP burn debuffs on the attacker. So she's an exploder for HP burn. Can you explode HP burn? She's a lighter. An igniter? She's an igniter. That's what she is. She's an igniter. I love the visual. I'm kind of digging the flaming head of fire here for her. Again, though, a legendary, but she is a support-based champ. And with Force being her affinity, it does kind of come into play. There's a lot of Force affinity HP burn champs, though, so that's not really an advantage here. I'd really like to see a Void, but this is number 9. We have a long way to go on the list. On here at number 8, Walking Tomb Drang. He was a free fusion champion from a while ago, HP based, but he's actually HP based for his damage. He is from Knights Revenant. See, we've only had, so we're Sylvan Watchers, Knights Revenant, Demon Spawn. They're kind of all over the board here for the list. His thing, when he was originally released, he was perfect for working your way all the way through Spider's Den, especially as a free champion. Very similar kit to the two that we've already seen. A1, 2-time hit, instantly activates HP burn on the target after attacking. That is a guaranteed. Instantly activates any HP burn on the target after attacking. A2, AoE, 75%, fully booked to 100% HP buff on all debuff on all enemies for 2 turns. This is the big positive here. This debuff cannot be resisted. It is 100% chance fully booked and an unresistible HP burn debuff. That's big. A3 equalizes the HP of all allies, then attacks one enemy. HP levels of all allies will be brought up to the level of the ally with the highest HP. That is spectacular. Attack ignores 30% of the target's defense if its target's current HP is equal to or lower than this champion's current HP. Will decrease the cooldown of the Exalted Pyre skill by 1 turn if the target's current HP is higher than this champion's current HP. And since he's an HP-based champion, unlike that one who was an HP-based champion that you weren't building with HP, this HP actually has a lot to do with this. So he's going to be heavy in HP, and that's going to add to all of the effects there on his A3. His passive is a reflect 30% of the damage this champion receives back to the attacker if this champion has 50% HP or more. Deals 30% more damage instead if this champion has less than 50% HP. Overall, his kit is fantastic on paper. He doesn't perform quite as strong as his kit would suggest he could. It just comes down to his build. But again, easily on the top 10 list, coming in at number 8. Up next, Supreme Gelic. Most notably because of his Void affinity. That is a big plus. His A1, similar to everybody else, 40% chance of increasing the duration of HP burn, but it's just a 1 enemy 2-time hit. He is an attack-based champion, so you're going to build him with a lot of crit rate and crit damage, and that's going to help. His A2 is not an AoE, which is why he's not higher on the list, but it's a 4 times at random, which also places a 50% increase attack buff on this champion for 3 turns before attacking. Each hit has an extra 10% chance of inflicting a critical hit. Each hit also has a 75% chance of instantly activating HP burn debuffs on each target and decreasing the duration of those HP burn debuffs by 1 turn. And then he has a turn meter fill by 30% if 3 or more HP burn debuffs are activated as an igniter. That is fantastic, and fully booked, it takes that 75% chance up to 100%. It would be better as an AoE, as an A2, but his AoE comes on his A3, which is a 4-turn fully booked down to 3-turn extra 10% chance of inflicting a critical hit, so it's damage on top of everything, has a 75% chance of placing HP burn and block buffs debuff for 2 turns, then places a 30% decrease speed on targets whose turn meter is higher than 50%. 3 turn. That is a huge hit, specifically for an attack-based champion if he's built with a lot of crit rate and crit damage. His passive, whenever this champion receives a fear, true fear, freeze, provoke, sleep, stun, or petrification, instantly removes it, then fully heals this champion and grants an extra turn. Massive damage dealer on top of all of the HP burn. Supreme Gelic. God, I'm rethinking this. At 7, maybe he should be higher on the list. Number 6, MYTHLAX. Basically, is she a fox? I think she's a fox. And I mean that like what she's made out of, not that I'm into furry people. MYTHLAX, maybe it's a wolf. I think it's a fox. I don't know. Legendary attack-based Void champion. There's a reason that she's here on the list. It's the Void status right away. A1 attacks 1 enemy. It's a single hit. 50% chance of placing a 60% decreased defense debuff for 2 turns. 100% chance of placing a 60% decreased defense debuff for 2 turns on the target before attacking if it's under an HP burn debuff. That's an interesting one. Decreased defense is definitely going to help. Too bad it's an 1 hit, 1 enemy. A2 is an AoE 75% chance of placing an HP burn debuff for 3 turns. 3 turn, 75%. And if you bump that up fully fully booked, it 75% changes to 100%. 75% chance of placing a stun for 1 turn on targets with 50% turn meter or more. 75% chance of placing 30% decreased speed for 3 turns on targets with less than 50% turn meter. That is a huge hit. Very excited about that one, and that is on the A2. A3, 4 turn, fully booked down to 3 turn, 1 enemy attack. Damage increases by 40% for each active HP burn debuff in the battle up to 400%. So that takes all of the HP burn debuffs that are out there and increases it up 10 times max on the target that is taking the hit. Also has a 75% chance of decreasing the target's turn meter by 15%, an additional 15% for each active HP burn debuff in the battle. That is a unique hit in the game. And with that 75% going all the way up to 100% fully booked, and the cooldown coming down to 3, huge. Passive, inner heat passive level. Whenever an ally receives a freeze debuff, 50% chance of replacing it with an HP burn for 2 turns instead. This debuff cannot be blocked or removed. But whenever any ally or enemy is under an HP burn debuff, this champion is immune to sleep, stun, freeze, fear, true fear, provoke, and petrification debuffs. So that's kind of a weird passive. So if one of your teammates takes a freeze, instead of losing a turn, they have a 50% chance of it getting replaced with an HP burn. So it's kind of a weird double-edged sword, although I would probably rather have an HP burn than losing my turn with a freeze. But you'll have to basically take that into consideration. MYTHLAX, number 5, our first epic on the list, and it's a Void, so that's a big plus. Epic means it's easier to book with epic books rather than having to look out for those legendary tomes, and it's a Void, so affinity is not going to be an issue. A1 attacks 1 enemy, 40% chance of placing weaken, increases to 75% if the target is under an HP burn. A2 attacks 1 enemy 2 times, heals this champion by 15% of their max HP on each critical hit. an attack-based champion, so you're already going to have your crit rate and crit damage set up. 50% increased attack buff on this champion for 2 turns if the target is under an HP burn. His A3 is where the HP burn comes into play. AoE, 75% chance of placing an HP burn debuff for 2 turns. Then fills this champion's turn meter by 15% if at least one enemy is hit with a critical hit. His passive increases this champion's attack and crit damage by 5% every time an HP burn debuff triggers on an enemy and stacks up to 25%. Attack-based Void Epic. He's only got HP burn on the A3, but it does come into play, and with that passive, Skrank overall is a massive Ogryn champion. He doesn't fit the bill for Ogryn. He looks a lot more fit than he may be the only guy in the Ogryn that's hitting the gym at least a couple of days a week. Number 4, Sikya Flametongue. I talked about her in some other videos. Her posture bothers me. It's just her pelvis forward. It's just the way she stands. It's got to be the weight of those wings. Maybe the tail shoved in a little bit too far. I don't know. Visually, she's a bit disturbing. But as a legendary attack force champion, her kit makes up for it. A1, one enemy 3 times. Each hit has a 15% chance of increase in the duration of HP burn debuffs on the target by 1 turn. That 15% chance gets bumped up to a 30% chance, but I think that A1's just kind of a wash. It's just the 3-turn hit that kind of comes into play. 30% chance just doesn't really do much. A2, AoE on her A2, 80% chance, fully booked to 100% chance, places a 25% weaken for 2 turns, also has an 80% chance, fully booked to 100% chance, of a 60% decreased defense for 2 turns if there are at least 2 enemies under HP burn debuffs. Then instantly activates any HP burn debuffs on each target and decreases the duration of those HP burn debuffs by 1 turn. That is spectacular. That is an AoE weaken and decrease defense and an HP burn igniter on her A2. That's why she's as high as she is on the list. A3 places HP burn on this champion for 3 turns, then attacks all enemies. Has a 75% chance of placing an HP burn debuff on all enemies for 3 turns. Grants an extra turn of an HP burn debuff is placed on all enemies, and that is fully booked to 100%. So she has an AoE HP burn on her A2 and her A3. Passive increases this champion's speed by 3 and damage inflicted by 3% for each ally and enemy under an HP burn debuff. And then it has a Cardiel bump here. If Cardiel is on the team, all allies will heal by 3% of their max HP from HP burn debuffs instead of receiving damage and losing HP. Massive, massive champion here. As an HP burn champion, she could definitely make her way to the first on the list. Honestly, the only thing that's holding me back is the way she stands. It really bothers me. It's like, It's like Newman from Seinfeld. Number 3, back to the Orcs with Artak. Legendary HP-based champion who, again, it's sad that I have to qualify this. Attack is based on HP, so you're going to build in with a lot of HP. Why there's an HP champion that's based on defense, I still will never know. But Artak here is what you would expect. He was another free champion within the game. He was actually a login champion that is just spectacular. Everyone got him if you were playing at that time, and he built correctly with a lot of accuracy and a decent amount of HP. If you put crit rate and crit damage on him as well, he is a force throughout the game. A1 is an AoE 35% chance to extend the duration of any HP burn debuffs on each target by 1 turn. A2, another AoE, before attacking instantly activates any HP burn, then has a 75% chance, fully booked to 100% chance, of placing a 50% decrease attack debuff on all enemies for 2 turns. So that's an AoE on A1 and AoE on A2, and then A3, another AoE, has a 2-time hit AoE. First hit has a 75% chance of placing HP burn for 2 turns, and then restores the champion's destroyed max HP by 10% for each HP burn debuff placed by this skill. Heals this champion by 5% of their max HP for each HP burn debuff attempt blocked or resisted by the enemy team. Now that thing here about destroyed max HP comes into play with the passive. Whenever an HP burn debuff is activated, destroys this champion's max HP by 5% and then stacks that up to 50%. Increases this champion's damage, crit damage, and defense by 1% for each 1% of their destroyed max HP. Also increases this champion's speed and resistance by 2 for each 1% of their destroyed max HP. That is a lot to take in, and it is a very weird calculation that you have going there. So there are positive aspects to him having destroyed max HP, but it makes him harder to maintain his life. But again, he's an HP burn, or an HP-based HP burn champion with AoEs on all 3 of his skills. So you're going to build him with a lot of HP. If you can do that properly with enough accuracy to lay down the HP burn or HP burns, then he could easily be first on this list. For me though, sitting at number 3, Krypt King Grawl, legendary support champ from Undead Hordes, Magic Affinity, number 2 on my list. Krypt King has an A1, which is just a single hit, 60% chance of placing 50% decrease attack debuff for 2 turns, and then 100% in chance instead if he's under a HP burn or a freeze debuff. Not a spectacular A1, but it gets better. A2 AoE with a 75% chance, fully booked to 100% chance of placing HP burn for 2 turns on everybody. A3 AoE, so he's got 2 AoEs. His A3 places a freeze debuff for 1 turn and an HP burn debuff for 3 turns on targets already under HP burn debuffs. The HP burn debuff cannot be resisted. So that's big. It's a 1-turn freeze and a 3-turn HP burn for all targets already under HP burn debuffs, and it cannot be resisted. So freeze and HP burn working together. That is his A3. The aura for him is ally HP up by 33%. It comes down to the amount of damage you can lay down with this, and freeze and HP burn both being in there. He is just one of my favorite champions to work with. When you read his kit, it doesn't read quite as exciting as it actually lays down in the champion. But again, huge. I would much rather have Krypt King in there. The only thing that kind of holds him back is that magic affinity, but definitely a champion that you want if you're trying to lay down multiple champions with HP. Number 1 on my list, Sulfurion, Flaming Gecko from the Lizardmen faction. Legendary support champ, Void Affinity. You got to see the kit to understand why this worked out. A1 is a 1 enemy hit. Fills turn meter of all allies except this champion by 10% when the target is under an HP burn, and then fills this champion's turn meter by 15%. Not much to write home about, but A2 goes HP burn debuff on all enemies for 3 turns and instantly activates any HP burn debuffs on all enemies. So it's an AoE 3-turn HP burn and an igniter. Then places a shield buff on all allies for 2 turns equal to the damage inflicted by the HP burn activation. The value of the shield buff cannot exceed 25,000 HP. That is a weird mechanic that is incredible. A3 revives all dead allies with 50% HP and 40% turn meter. This is the only reviving HP burn champ that is on the list. Plus it's Void and it's Lizardmen. Passive though, fills the turn meter of all allies by 5% for each HP burn debuff placed. Turn meter fill for HP burn debuff placed is the only one. That is a unique skill. I love that. Whenever an HP burn debuff is activated, heals all allies by 5% of their max HP. So not only do they get a turn meter bump, they also get heal. Whenever an HP burn debuff is activated by Scavag, Tainted Scavag, Spiderlings, or Tainted Spiderlings, heals all allies by 1% of their max HP. That's a mic drop moment. Whenever an HP burn debuff is removed from an enemy, places a 50% decreased resistance debuff on that enemy for 1 turn. Whenever an ally is killed by an enemy under an HP burn debuff, fills this champion's turn meter by 20%, and then increases this champion's speed by 7 for each active HP burn debuff. And it doesn't have a max there on that speed. It doesn't say it like maxes out at, after 21 for what it is. But depending upon how many targets you have under HP burn, that's going to speed this Flamin' Lizard way up. Number 1, shouldn't be any complaints about that one being top on the list, even though there's been some other champions here throughout the top 10 that do have a lot of utility and skill. Easily, hands down, number 1 on the list for me, Sulfurion. That's it. Top 10 list for HP burn champs. If you disagree or you have anybody that I missed, let me know in the comments below. If your list is pretty top notch and I feel like it's better than what I've got, I will pin it so everybody can see. Thanks a lot. Don't forget to subscribe here on the Raid channel at YouTube. It does make a big difference, and it's free and easy to do here on the channel as well. I'm FinallyHeSleeps. As long as you guys keep showing up, I'll keep making videos. Thanks for watching. If you haven't noticed, my YouTube channel has expanded. Subscribe here for Raid Shadow Legends content, but make sure you check out my other channels as well for EA Sports FC, everything automotive over at Gearheads, and visit Cringeworthy for a few laughs. Subscribe links are right over there.